Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Wild Portishead Live.
Live.
It's
Good evening.
pretty hot tonight, isn't it, Chris?
It's so hot. I'm actually sat out in the garden. Lovely bit of foliage behind. Absolutely stacked out with young blue tits, which have fledged. I think it's probably from two nests now. The nest that's in the garden, they've fledged. They're in the hedge behind me, but I think they've been joined by another brood as well. I don't know if the microphone's picking them up, but they are quite noisy behind me. And I'm glad to say they're all doing extremely well in this garden.
Excellent. I've got a healthy population of starlings again. And I'm trying to think what else I've had in the garden. My starlings and my house sparrows are doing very well. I've on the trail camera, I think I've picked up a juvenile robin. It's always a little bit tricky because juvenile robins and juvenile dunnocks can look a little bit similar. But I will sort out the trail camera pictures and upload them later on. As you may have noticed, folks, we are now Wild Portishead CIC, Community Interest Company. And what that means is that when we want to do projects in the future, like our Swift boxes or anything of that ilk, we can now tap into a fund of a resource of funds, can't we, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. There's there's lots of opportunities out there, but if you're not registered in some way, nobody will touch you with a barge pole. Probably quite rightly.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, everything that we receive goes into accounts, and everybody can see what we're getting, and everybody
Yeah.
can see what's being spent on. And I think it's fair to say that it's a great step. It's a great step forwards, and also I know that we've appealed in the past for people to come and join us, get involved. There's no membership fee or anything like that. Just get
No.
involved, just help us.
Yeah.
And I think half the time people think we are not serious about what we're doing, and we are bloody serious about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
also, I have to say that a lot of what we've done is also mentioned in books which have been published. The
You obviously.
CIC, the CIC actually gives us another bit of credibility, and I hope there's plenty of people out there who are looking like this, living in or surrounding Portishead, that will come and join us, get involved, and take some of the weight off us.
Well, I've got to say, we've managed to recruit two brilliant helpers at the moment, Sarah and Beth. They have been brilliant, and we have been having monthly meetings to discuss plans and ideas. And as ever, we've got a million and one things that we'd like to do. Beth has been working on a map of Portbury Wharf Nature Reserve, which is absolutely stunning. So while Porter said, "Oh, Chris has gone," yeah, he's back again. What vexes thee, Chris? There was something in the background that was obviously catching your attention.
Yeah, the children have come into the garden and they've now just gone on to their bouncy thing.
All right, that's all right then.
It's no great wildlife. Sorry, there was no herd of wildebeest going through the garden, or lions and tigers or anything like that. Just two little children.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Right. So, shall we go? We do actually have a schedule for tonight. He just says bringing up the schedule here. So
We are getting professional.
we yeah. Well, this is the streaming service is getting better now. So, right, we've talked about the CIC. No Mo May.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. This is Momo May started some years ago. We did our own thing, if you remember, Jonathan.
Oops.
We got a lot of people involved, and I think it's a great shame we never kept in contact with those. And as you said, with Beth and Sarah now involved, they are pushing No Mo May along with the rest of us. And I'm wandering around Portishead, and I'm seeing people who have left, definitely left their lawns for May. and we've left ours here, and the difference has been absolutely astounding.
Hmm.
And for most of the grass species here, it's actually just meadow grass. You'll have to leave it for a period of time, especially if you've had a turf down, to get the diversity of species in. But they will come. Diversity of grass species will come. But
Hmm.
already, what we're seeing is a massive upturn in the amount of insects which are available. We've also got obviously wildflower borders, and we've got quite a lot of trees with foliage on. And it's the sudden upturn in the insects which has led to this brilliant success that's right behind me at the moment. And that's all the fledgling tits that we've got here. And not just that, but also as a direct result of that will be the fact that this is the first year in a number of years where our blackbirds have actually been successful, and they've had two broods, four young, and everybody's happy, and it is probably one of the best years I can remember since 1993 for all wildlife. And I'm just about to do a full analysis of the plant species, grasses, everything else, and insects in the garden. But I've done the birds, and it's colossal. And a lot of that is the diversity of birds which are here now. I don't want to talk too much about that at the moment because you're going to have that as a different subject on this show. You've already told me. And the implications, for example, of not feeding but having the right habitat there. And I'll stop it there and hand back to you.
Well, I was just going to say, you mentioned blackbirds there, and I've suddenly found the missing pictures that we needed tonight. Oh, it's honestly, folks, it's the weather. It's my MacBook doesn't want to play cooperate tonight. I don't want to cooperate tonight, quite frankly. And I'm just waiting for the video to load here. But tell us about your blackbirds, Chris, because
Yeah, it is quite incredible. It's a massive turnaround. And in the past few years, they've not had the weather with them. And a lot of the springs, the early springs, have been really dry. And to be quite frank, the habitat hasn't been there for them either. So there hasn't been a massive diversity of food for them. But now that's come back. It's okay. The dog's now joining us. That's why I look that way. Um, now we've got the weather's been kind so far. Apart from April, April was really dry. But apart from that, it's been showery, and then we've had dry, and then we've had showers again, and then dry, and it's been almost perfect, except for April's been the big hiccup, where it was dry for so long, and I started to think, oh, here we go again, and that didn't happen, and that's what's helped the blackbirds to be successful. But not just that, not just the weather; it's a combo of factors. The blackbirds also have had somewhere to nest and somewhere that's dense to get away from predators. Very, very important indeed that they have somewhere to get away. And a lot of us, when we're looking at our gardens, for example, we don't often think of it in a way that it could be producing wildlife. So what I mean by it, they've had the right foliage to nest in. That foliage would be thorny bushes. And a lot of us
hmm
don't like thorny bushes because I'm not talking about ornamental thorns here. I'm talking about everyday things that you would find in the countryside. So a lot of the stuff that was ornamental has been replaced. We've now got native species in, and it's made a world of a difference. And it's also, behind me at the moment, there's a goat willow tree up behind me, and that is absolutely loaded with insects. And that is where all the blue tit young are being taught to feed through the leaf litter by their parents. So the blackbirds were really pleased that. And the other day, we had a really interesting incident. I've never known it in May before now. We actually had five males in the garden, and it was like an eruption taking place. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but it's in the past week or so that the blackbird's song has suddenly kicked in really
yeah,
loudly.
yeah.
And this is a bird that starts singing in February and gets quite loud in March and gets very loud in April. And it's almost like the whole thing's been delayed and they've gone, whoopee, conditions right now, let's go. And so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get a third brood off of this pair at the moment.
Yeah.
because they're still collecting food and they're still running around, maybe mockingly collecting nesting material, but it could be that they go for a third.
We've got some video. Now, are they calling and answering in that video?
Yeah, there's two. So that's what I mean. It's the density here has suddenly gone up quite dramatically. So that's the density of males which are actually calling, singing to each other, and also I don't know if you noticed on in the background of that. Yeah, that's him with food ready to come in and come in and feed the young. So and that's been constant throughout, and it's been very successful. And in the past few years, it's not been successful. They find it really difficult to collect food, and we've had whole brood failures. And if you go back to 2021, they tried 4 times and didn't bring a single youngster off, and that was just the dry spring. There was just they couldn't get into the ground. And so there's a double whammy taking place now, if you like, by letting the grass grow. If you do get a day like today, um, because the grass is so long, you have not got that sun right down onto the soil layer. You've got it actually hitting the top of the grass. So underneath, it's still fairly moist and damp. You know, go out and feel, if you've got long grass in your garden, go out and feel it, and you'll feel right down at the base, and it's still quite moist. And that's because it's not got the direct sunlight on it. And then by tomorrow morning, because of course there will be some evaporation taking place, and a lot of that will fall back down, down to the grass again. So in the morning, it'll be really quite wet, quite damp, even though it may not have rained. And you'll find that first thing in the morning, as soon as the light breaks, the blackbirds are out and they're getting any worms which are coming up. Great time to observe first thing in the morning. I recommend getting up at 3:30, having a couple of coffees before you're ready to get out and sit in the garden.
Yeah. Well, you saying about the cover, I have a rambling rose bush by the path, which has grown over into the lilac tree. So it's formed like an arch, and that's essentially where all the feeders go. But the rambling rose is really quite dense, and I've noticed through looking through the kitchen window, that's where so much activity takes place. Is just seeing birds dive in there for cover, especially when there's a raptor around, because you'll suddenly hear a lot of commotion, and then it'll all go deathly quiet. And on the occasion that that's happened, my trail camera, and we'll talk about trail cameras later on, my trail camera has picked up a sparrowhawk or a raptor of some sort on the lawn, looking for something, looking for an easy meal. And so as much as I can sometimes be a bit of a neat and tidy person, sometimes I'm letting this lawn grow out pretty much through to the end of no mow May. Then when I do get the mower out, I'm going to be quite selective about what I do. I'm going to leave some areas of long grass, especially around the base of the big old apple tree here. Not going to touch that. I'm going to let that grow out. So
look out for a grass species called cocksfoot. We've actually talked we've talked about it before. It can start colonizing, but it won't completely take over an area. But it has a really long stem, with a massive seed head on it. And the beauty about cocksfoot grass is that we've only got a couple of plants here at the moment. They've come in naturally. But once it does take off, we'll have a few more plants here. Try not to cut that. Leave the stems standing. And the reason for that is it retains its seed right into the winter. And there is your bird food. That's
Right,
just
here we go.
one of many plants which can provide really good bird food during the winter period.
This is the Woodland Trust, and they're talking about cocksfoot grass, which is Dactylus glomerata. Tenacious and hard to budge, when other grasses succumb to drought, cocksfoot can be relied for its perseverance, its deep roots, and dense tussocky growth, securing its survival. That's beautiful grass, Chris. I like that.
It really is. It really is. And a lot of conservationists won't or try to get rid of it on nature reserves. And obviously on farms they try and get rid of it. But in terms of your own patch of ground, etc., I would say that it's absolutely essential, because if you're going to start thinking about perhaps not feeding birds, then you want some cocksfoot around as well as other plants, for example, teasel and things like that, which will provide food during the winter for a diversity of species and not just the ones that bully at the bird table.
Yeah, now here we are. This is the Woodland Trust. So they're talking about value to wildlife. Is long grass species like cocksfoot are important to wildlife, food sources for caterpillars like the gatekeeper and meadow brown, pollen sources for pollinators such as honeybees, habitats for wildlife. Bumblebees build their nests in the long grass, carder bees nest in holes. We'll scroll down. Actually, what we'll do is I'm just going to cut and paste that, and I'm going to share that to our Wild Portishead Facebook page.
Yep. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it will come in naturally. It's normally one of those that people are trying to get rid of, but it's so important. There's a dear friend of mine who sadly passed away now. Was studying hen harriers,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that he was doing was collecting hen harriers pellets. So those are the things that the hen harriers they regurgitate, and it would tell him if he opened up the pellets what the birds were actually feeding on. And of course, the hen harriers were sometimes in the winter feeding on quite a variety of different bird species. And what he was
Mm-hmm.
finding inside the pellets were intact gizzards. And the gizzards of these birds actually contained the seeds that the birds have been eating. And the number one species that came up for species like dunnock, skylark, and sparrows was cocksfoot.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about things, plants that people like cocksfoot, people tend to regard it as invasive or something they don't want in their garden. Here is another plant. I know we've mentioned this before, but we're going to mention it again because this was a photograph I took this week on the patio, and it's valerian.
Yeah, red valerian
Now,
with a painted lady butterfly.
with a painted lady butterfly. I was sat on the patio and it fluttered over. So I picked up my iPhone. This is an iPhone photograph, folks, and got a nice shot of it. It was enjoying the valerian, and there is the side view as well. Now the thing is, valerian can take over. It's a very adaptable and a very successful plant. And I can sort of understand why sometimes people see it as invasive, because it tends to just appear everywhere. I've got plant pots here that I've started preparing to put to sow seeds in, and before you know it, there are valerian buds growing out of them. So it's a very successful plant. But if you can find room in your garden for some valerian, either the pink or the red, it comes in different shades. It's absolutely fabulous for pollinators. as this photograph shows, this is what you get. You get what I've had. I've had red admirals this week. I've had meadow browns, peacocks. It's brilliant, and I haven't had to do a thing, Chris. All the only thing I've had to do is leave it be.
Yeah, and I think when I was in France, several times I've been in France now. Everywhere you go in France, red valerian is the plant,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost like it's the French emblem. Every roadside verge you go down, it's absolutely filled with red valerian. You stop the car, you get out, not to do what normally the French do, but you get out to do what I would do, which is looking for insects on those flowers, and it's absolutely humming with bees. And the problem comes, Jonathan, where I can walk up the road from where I live, and it will literally start growing out of the tarmac, or it'll grow out from a wall, and that's where the problem comes. Now, if it's causing you a problem, that's fine. Deal with it. So what we're not saying is that you should let your wall get pulled down by red valerian, because it will do. It will manage to eat out the mortar, and the sheer weight of the plant will actually start dislodging the stone. So that can happen. Just saying, make some space for it in the garden where it's not doing you any harm, and just watch. Stand back and watch. For nature, it's like lighting a firework. Stand back and boom.
Absolutely. And if you do need to get rid of your red valerian, obviously do it. Just cut it out. No weed killers, no chemicals. Just if you must use something, I think probably boiling water if you want to destroy the roots completely. But boiling water can kill anything else that's in the area, any insects in the area. So no, if you're going to get rid of it, chop it out. I mean, I to be honest with you, I have to keep the valerian in my garden a little bit under control. So I've got dedicated areas for it, but there are other areas where it's it's that old saying, a weed is just it's it's a plant in the wrong place, isn't it? And
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we've got the beginnings of what's going to be an autumn bountiful supply here in the garden of teasel, and if you're not careful, it will take over. So often been asked in terms of when we look at management and things like that. I often play the part of a deer going through.
mm,
So and that's the kind of management that you want to think about. If of course you want your garden for nature, if you want your garden to be completely sterile, then that is also up to you. We're not
mhm.
telling you what to do,
No,
but
no.
if you want nature to recover, and as I've often said in the writings that I've been doing over the last few years, at the end of it, I always leave that little sentence which says, "Nature will recover if we want it to."
Yep. Also, talking about teasels, a particular place that you and I know quite well, which is the Strawberry Line walk from Yatton Station to Kongsbury. It's fascinating to see how Yakwag managed that space and how each year different things are coming up and becoming the dominant plant. But there is one section, probably about the 3/4 mark, before you get to the little bridge that goes over the Reen. And
Yep.
I always call it Goldfinch Alley because it's nothing but teasels. And towards the end of the summer, all you see and hear along that section are goldfinch. It's absolutely brilliant. I'd love to have teasels in my garden. I really would.
You can have some of ours. I'll bring some round.
Oh, that's very kind of you. They.
Once they start,
Well, no, I'm quite happy to have them, but I've got a couple on. I had a couple in the front garden, one right at the very end of the drive. That was wiped out by North Somerset Council when their spraying wagon came along.
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, teasels. Right. The other thing we were going to talk about, Chris, we've had No Mow May. no. I'm trying to think how we can come up with a catchy punchline for this, but no feeding birds summer. So this is
Yes.
the advice from the RSPB, which is to people to rein in your feeding of birds during, now the weather's getting hot and we're into late spring coming through to
Yep.
the summer now.
Yep.
Put water out for them. They need water, but in terms of food, let them let them do a job for you, and that's picking off all the things in your garden that
Well,
potentially you are trying to get rid of with
this is the
insecticide.
this is the anomaly, isn't it? That people want birds in their garden. They want to feed birds in their garden because they want to see the birds in their garden, but they're not prepared to have the sun. Are not prepared to have the habitats that the birds really need, and the amount of untidiness that you need in your garden in order to
Mhm.
make them nest and make the insects multiply so that they've got plenty of food. Um, I'm gonna what the RSPB have said been misquoted. I wrote something about this. I wrote an article about this a few weeks ago. It came out from a few people that the RSPB were saying no feeding. No, they're not. They're telling you not to basically feed during the summer. But my argument is that actually, you can get to a situation where if you've got a garden and it's a reasonable sized garden, you can do enough that you can sustain a bird population in your garden. Now, we haven't fed here for quite a number of years now. And initially, when we withdrew the feeding, there was a drop off, a complete drop off of individual bird species. The number just plummeted. And then, as the plants began to kick in, the thing that went up was not the individual number, it was the diversity of bird
Mm,
species up dramatically. And the position we're in this year, which feels like, for some reason, and I can't explain it, feels like a climax year. Not only has the diversity of species gone up, but the individuals now have gone up. And part of the reason we both met the guy who wrote the paper on basically bird bullying in the garden and how feeders were damaging the diversity of species in the garden. Almost like we humans were rewriting what species would be around. Now, basically, what he was saying, that's Dr. Lee. What he was saying was that when you feed birds in the garden, what you tend to do is attract the bullies, the bigger ones,
mm,
and the little ones. Like, for instance, we get coal tits here in the garden. We get things like goldcrests in the garden. They get pushed aside. So they're just a couple of examples of things that can get pushed aside by the much more robust great tit or the robin or this or that or nuthatch if you're lucky to have nuthatch. They really are the bandit bird. And so if you start providing more natural food in your garden, and take the situation from here, I'm gonna do this. Look now, watch. What you see is a line of trees going right back towards the house, and another group of trees here. The amount of leaf litter is absolutely terrific, and not only that, but also leaves, and then bring the amount of flower heads. There's your diversity starting to come through. So it's not
mm.
surprising that chiffchaffs have moved in. It's not surprising that we've had willow warbler stopping off to have a really good sing song here and feed up before it moves on. Um, so those things no longer surprise me because when they turn up, it's great. It's a testament to what can be achieved, and we're not a big garden by any means. So anybody with a really big garden is going to be able to do that much more. But don't forget, we've got we've still got two children here, and they need somewhere to play. So nature hasn't completely taken over; it's taken the edges, or it's taken the islands. It's not
Mm,
taken the whole thing by any means.
mhm.
And so it just shows that there can be space for the enjoyment of the garden. Here I am now. I'm really enjoying. I've in the past few days I've really enjoyed just sitting here and glass of beer in the evening, listening to the evening chorus. And the
Yep.
evening chorus here is really loud. It's been really fantastic.
Yeah.
And so, I think this is a lot of things in nature conservation at the moment are incredibly doomy and gloomy, Jonathan. But what
Mm.
I'm seeing this spring, not just here, but also surrounding other areas as well, and when I'm going to farms, etc., it's almost like everything's lifting up. Like you start to see, you're thinking, hang on a minute, I haven't seen that butterfly for donkey's years, and it's back.
Mm.
And it's not just back; it's in good numbers, and other bird species doing really well. Now there will be some that aren't doing well. Now the big thing in my garden this year that's not doing well, and this is really unusual, and I think it's just a blip, are the robins.
Okay.
They haven't bred, but they're here, but they just haven't bred, and I think it's just a blip, and things will sort themselves out for them. They may indeed have a very, very late brood, but there's enough food for them. And so the reason why is clearly there's a problem between the male and the female, but we won't go into that right now. So, um, so that's just two individual birds with a bit of an issue. Apart from that, everything's just great and looking really rosy. And what we need to do is celebrate these things when we see them. I was out round Portishead with Mark the other day, and I was looking at some of the verges, the bees on the verges, and the wildflowers coming up on the verges. It was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
really good, and we need to that really good news message needs to go into the public because, of course, then the public, instead of listening to our doomy, gloomy standard conservation messages, instead of switching off and going, "Well, we can't do anything about that," they'll say, "Actually, do you know what? If I do my garden like him, I can get all these things, and I don't have to spend a fortune on bird food."
There is that. Chris, I'm just going to bring up an image here. This is from my trail cam, and we will talk trail cams towards the end of the show. Add to stage. There we go. Is that a juvenile robin? I think it is, isn't it?
I can't really. I'm gonna try.
I'll
Yeah,
try and zoom
yeah,
it.
yes, it
I'll
is.
try and
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Uh, let's try and center it a bit more. There we go. Yeah, that's a juvenile robin.
yep.
Because trying to, I find sometimes I confuse juvenile robins with juvenile dunnocks because they can be very similar. But the tell there is you can see how the breast on that bird is starting to take on a color. It's not
Yes,
quite red. It's not. It's almost like a pale yellow. But
yes.
you can see,
It's also the stance, Jonathan. So
yeah.
that's a robin stance. A Dunnock stance is completely different.
Well, you're talking about dunnocks because let's remove that because there is an adult dunnock. So
Yep.
what was the context of this picture, Chris?
Is that one of mine?
Yeah, it's one of yours, one of the ones you sent me.
Ah, yeah. Sorry, this is one singing in our garden then.
Right.
On a bit of dead wood. Yeah, and again, they've had a great year, and I can't remember them having as good a year as they've had this year, and it's quite amusing when you're coming out of the house into the back garden, and you see the blackbirds out here feeding like crazy, and then you have the parent dunnocks also, and then the young dunnocks actually joining them for training of how to feed. But I mean, these things, if you look at that beak there, much like the robin's beak, these are
Mm-hmm.
insect eaters. And,
Mm-hmm.
and, and these birds are more creeping around in the undergrowth,
Mm.
or down running through the grass, even the long grass, to find plenty of insect material there. So yeah, these are really important species, and people often say to me around Portishead, "Well, we don't hear the cuckoo anymore." And let's take time back that when we did hear the cuckoo here, the dunnock was much more common.
Mm. Mm. And of course, dunnocks and robins do not get on. Two
No, well,
songbirds, two songbirds. So there is intense
Robins don't.
rivalry between
Robins
them.
don't get on with anything.
No, they mine in the garden will tolerate the house sparrows, but the moment a dunnock turns up, it's quite brutal actually. Um,
Yeah,
what have we got there? Is that a juvenile dunnock or is that?
No, that's the
Um,
juvenile blackbird,
the juvenile blackbird. Yeah.
young blackbird. Yeah, young blackbird.
Um,
And then
uh,
that's what's happening at the moment as well. I did a piece to camera yesterday for somebody talking about the value of bramble. This is bramble flower.
mhm,
I actually did it walking over the old golf course at Portishead, and
mhm,
the bush was absolutely loaded,
mhm,
absolutely loaded with bees, varying species. This is honeybee, but varying species of bee, and they weren't the only pollinators. There were other insect pollinators there as well. But it was just like it. You just stand and you look at this, and in the background you're thinking about all the things we want to do to bramble to get rid of it, and you're just looking at this massive outcrop of bramble and the amount of nature in it, on it, and around it. It's just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. You could make an entire program about a bramble bush, and I've probably just given some producer at the BBC an idea. And if the idea goes through to fruition, I'm presenting it.
mm. I've got to say, I've got lots of bramble in my garden, probably to the
Yeah.
consternation of my neighbours. But again, it's good. It's good cover for the birds,
Yep.
and quite frankly, it's delicious in the autumn when I start making apple and blackberry crumble. So,
Absolutely.
and obviously, with the when the blackberries start fruiting, the birds are getting food. It's and a highly nutritious food with that as well. So, Chris, we'll talk about the Swift boxes in a second, but you sent me this picture of a brimstone butterfly. Um, Now, do you want to tell people the context of what this is about? Because we've got another photograph to come along in this sequence in a second,
Yeah,
but
the this is this is one I probably sent through for the program we never did in the early spring, because this
mhm,
one's actually sat on lesser celandine, which have now gone over. But basically, yeah, the brimstone butterfly. We had some in the garden to start off. We haven't had the second hatch or the second aggregation of them hasn't happened here. And I was walking through Western Bigwood the other day, and there were very low numbers of them. Whereas earlier on in March, even late February, there was quite a few brimstones around. So yeah, I don't think they're having such a good spring as I thought they were going to have. But we had that northwesterly wind for quite a long time, which uh,
mhm.
may have affected them.
But then again, Chris, we don't exactly help them, do we?
Well, no, of course not. Yeah, I mean, basically, we can. We just need to ease up and have a bit of common sense. So if we instead of looking at this, would you rather look at what I just showed you? Which, yes, there's some nettle in there. Beautiful display of yellow lesser celandines, which have now gone over. I must admit, they have gone now, but they are one of the first flowering plants to come out after the winter. And boy, wasn't the winter long this time around. So they were one of the first to come out. So species which are early emerging, like brimstone, need them to feed on. And again, it's not about taking over whole tracts of land. It's just what you can do at the edges to start off with,
Yep.
and then see where we go from there. But yeah, basically, when you yeah, or what you're showing there is a picture which I took of some maintenance that had taken place on one of our parklands, and the story behind that was it was basically that was cut before the grass was even starting to grow after the winter. So I'd argue that's just a waste of money.
There's got to be a better way of managing these green spaces, Chris. There's got to be a better way of coming up with a management plan that is in sync with nature rather than it just being a spread. We've had this discussion before. A
Too many
spreadsheet
times.
thing
Yeah,
of just
too many times, Jonathan. And I
yeah,
think I think there's two things here. It's exactly what I've just said. It's not about interfering with people's enjoyment of that land. It's just taking a little bit and saying, right, this is what we're going to do. The rest of it can be amenity, especially if it's a POS, public
Hmm.
open space. You don't want to interfere with a public open space. But what you can do on a public open space is talk to the public and say, can we just not cut right up to the edges? Could we leave a buffer and then you see what it's like and you tell us whether you like it or not? But in terms of the photograph that you showed then, that wasn't a POS. It can be managed differently. And
Hmm.
indeed, I'm going to sing some praise now because there's an area quite close to there where they haven't cut and they've allowed the spring flowers to develop all the way through. So full praise. In other words, in Jonathan Mock speak, it can be done.
It can be done because I'm thinking of walking along Slade Road. I just walked past Slade Road School and I'm heading down towards the White Cop.
Yep.
I'm dating myself there, but there is a patch of green land on the corner. I think it's Church Road. It's right opposite Newlands
Yep.
Lane,
Yep.
but they've mown the edges, but everything else is just left to grow. They do it down the lake grounds by the edge of Battery Lane. They also do it on the golf course. It, it can be done.
Well,
It's
this is the important thing then is how you message that to the public,
mhm.
because the public may turn around and say to you, "Hang on, you've just put up our tax bill, and you're not cutting the grass, or you're not doing that bit, but you're doing that bit. What's going on?" And the trouble is, if you reply with silence, you just rile people up. So, this is where Wild Portishead could be tremendously helpful, whereby if only people in high authority would actually talk to us, give us the information, sit down, work out a plan, and then we can help deliver that message
Yeah.
to the public that they probably don't want to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Offer is always there. Right, Chris, what was the context of this pick? Is that you sent me that
Uh,
one? What was
yeah, no, the two Dunnocks were supposed to be together.
oh,
That's another
oh,
Dunnock.
all right, I
And in
apologize.
terms of your hedgehogs,
Yeah,
the Dunnock is showing you there, Jonathan, that if you've got a pond in your garden, don't forget to put in a netted grill so
yeah.
that if they jump in and have a swim around, they can climb back out.
What I
That's a
have done,
netted grill so that they can get out.
yeah, what I have done with my pond in the both my ponds in the garden is I've got rocks and stones in there so they're shallow, and if they do go into the pond, they can get back out again. So, and I've got wood as well that goes into it as well. In fact, one of the things that I did over the weekend was recover the pond in the front garden. My friend Jackie came round and help me
Yep.
recover the pond in the front garden. So I'm going to be looking at some plants for that. Um, but yeah, it's nice. Again, nice to have another pond. I've got 3 in my garden. I'm being a bit greedy, but right. Swiftbox update. We have now allocated all 4 of the crowd-funded Swift boxes. So we've got the 2 down at the Folk Hall. We've got one on Nor Road, and we've got this one which is right opposite the Reen, down towards Brampton. So that's one of the camera equipped ones. Although I will have to go around there to try and figure out what's happened because the camera, although it's fully charged, it's not transmitting at the moment. So probably just a Wi-Fi issue. But I've just gone onto the Folk Hall one. Still no luck attracting Swifts to them, but
Well,
we
they've
did
only
have,
just come back. They've only just come back. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, this weather's brought them in properly, but there haven't been the swifts around. It's been chilly during the daytimes, so a lot of our swifts have been held up over France
yeah.
or
So
or
what we're
further south in the UK.
Yeah. So what we're going to do at some stage is go down to the folk hall with we've got Swift calls on the
With
phone.
banners?
And
With
banners,
banners?
yeah. I'm going to write a stiff letter to Dear Swifts. But yeah, we're going to go down there and try and catch their ears, quite frankly. But
Yes.
so if you're walking through the high street and wondering why a confused man from Dudley with holes in his head is sat there holding his iPhone in the air, that's actually what I might do is I might bring the little portable speaker I've got with me. Go the full hog. Why not?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Right.
It doesn't hurt.
No. So yes, the Swift boxes are all up. And again,
But
that's
whilst we're talking about folk call, I should say that I had a really good meeting with um, chairman of Portishead Town Council and a couple of other people about the fact that a lot of the land holdings that North Somerset currently look after will be going over into PTC, Portishead Town Council, as part of this general handover. I just wanted everybody to know that it's early days at the moment, but we have had an initial meeting which went very, very well, and I'm looking forward to while Portishead being able to work closely with Portishead Town Council in the future.
Mhm. No, absolutely. Right, we will go on to trail cams in a second. Chris, you sent me this picture of a slow worm. Do you want to explain yourself, man? What's going on here?
Well, it's out of context with what we're talking about because
Okay.
that was really talking about the type of other wildlife that you're likely to get when you start having a bit more rough vegetation in your garden.
Okay.
Things like slow worms can return. Obviously,
Hmm.
they can't live in manicured environments. The only way we're going to get slow worms upping their number, and we know a dear friend of ours in Norway in Norroad that's got a lot of them. She's probably listening to this program now, and she will be testament to the fact that you start thinking about your garden in terms of nature, and these are one of the things that can come back, and they're very good for your garden because, of course, they will then have the opportunity to eat quite a lot of the pests that you don't want in your garden, and it will save you a lot of
Absolutely.
money. Save you a lot of money on chemicals.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I've only ever had a couple of slow worms in the garden, but what I have got right down the end of my garden is my compost heap, which I will photograph at some stage because that's where I put most of the, some of the kitchen waste and not kitchen waste, the garden where where I'm chopping stuff up in the garden, spent grass clippings, that all goes down the end of the garden. And
Yeah, that they like that. Yep.
what I've got is some corrugated sheets of iron.
Yep.
So they
Yep.
go down there,
Brilliant.
so it heats it all up, which aids in the composting process,
Yep.
but also ideal habitat for grass snakes and slow worms and you name it. So
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant. Brilliant.
right, I'm just trying to right. I'm trying to bring up some trail cam footage here. Oh, now it's allowing me to download. Thank you, Facebook. Oh, this is the story of this tonight. Right. So we'll talk about trail cameras in a second, but I have been, you may have seen on the Facebook feed, is that I have been leaving the trail camera out most nights, pretty much all nights, and I've got hedgehogs back in the garden. I've probably got. Sorry, I'm trying to find out why it won't add to stage. Why won't it add to stage? For goodness sake, it's
Enter
not.
stage left hedgehog.
No, it's not. Let's remove that one. It's not. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So this was the other night. So we've got one hog there, which I think is a female, but coming up in the rear there at speed is another hog. Now this is definitely a male because, as you will notice, that's a male. Yeah, that's a bloke, and there he's. I'm ready for my close up now, Mr. DeMille. So yeah, here we have. He's very keen. He's Now, what I've done, Chris, is a bit like not feeding the birds. Is now that we're into the warm weather, I am not putting the hog food out anymore. So I was buying proprietorial hedgehog food, but not doing that at the moment because I'm putting water out. So what you see in those dishes are the water dishes. But if the hogs want something to eat, there are plenty of invertebrates in the garden and other insects and things that they can get stuck into. So we'll also bring this video up, and I do apologize for this one in advance because it is, I'm not going to say it's distressing. It's
rude. Get to the point.
It's rude. It's hedgehogs. It's a pair of hogs. Let me just find. I'm just trying to find. I'm trying to find the blessed video here. Yes, here we are. The answer was courtship because we had some hedgehogs that were kind of circling each other, and yeah, then we found out why they were circling each other because there we go. So on the plus side, might have some hoglets at some stage. But I'm not gonna go through the entire catalogue of this because I don't want to.
It's probably not a good idea.
No,
but
it's not a good
I mean,
idea.
it just shows you how much is going on in Jonathan's garden at the moment.
Well, that's because, like I say, is I do keep it a little bit on the wild side. But we did have. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring the other video up, and it's gone. Bear with. Oh, here we are. So we've got a fox in the garden as well. I'm just trying to find the rest of the fox footage.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm just cycling through the fox footage here. That's not the footage I want. I did save one particular sequence again. Oh, this is quite interesting, Chris. I don't know if this one is coming up. This was one of the hogs the other night. This was before I stopped feeding them, but it's using its front paws to get to the biscuits.
Yeah.
Never
very
quite,
intelligent.
Yeah. Well, that one run again. But yeah, it's kind of like, I don't want those ones. I want these ones. So out the way. There we go.
It's nice to have a choice.
Absolutely. Right. Let's see if we can find the other video. Oh, goodness me. Honestly, folks, by the time we do the next Wild Portishead live, I will have learnt all of StreamYard's new features, and we will get these videos in sequence. Oh, I'm just trying to find the. Here we go. This is an absolute classic. This one. I don't know if you can see this. Right. Let's put that up again. Here is the fox eating some of the biscuits, and then he's like, "What's that in front of me?" Oh! Hilarious. But it just shows. Somebody said, "Oh, foxes and hedgehogs don't get on." Do you know what? No, that fox wasn't bothered by the hedgehog, and it just carried on eating the biscuits. So yes, I think we can put that down to another one of these kind of like old wives' tales. But in case you're wondering what we're using there, I'm just going to go to share screen. This is the trail camera that we are using. Got it off of that there Amazon. It's the iZeeka. This is solar powered, so you don't you can put batteries in it as a backup, but actually it will run without batteries, which is brilliant. It just needs its own internal battery to be charged, which you can do via the USB charger anyway. This comes with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card as well. I've bought 3 of these at the moment. They're absolutely brilliant, and the image quality is astonishing. So, if you're looking to get a trail camera, I heartily think that the iZeeka on Amazon is absolutely banging. And we've lost Chris. Chris has gone wandering off, and he's probably lost his Wi-Fi. So I will conclude tonight's show. We are just coming up to the hour mark. Like I say, we're always looking for more people to join us and to get involved. So you know where to find us on Facebook and on YouTube. Hopefully, we'll do another live very, very soon, and we'll organize it a bit more next time. So until the next time, as ever, thank you for watching. Stay safe and get out there, enjoy the wildlife, and do send us your pics. So until the next time, bye bye everybody. Bye bye.